Hi everyone, this is Nancy from Niha Inc. here at Springdale Park Miniature Handball Court. 2 years ago, Will and I came to Springdale Park and joined Counselor Jenny Rivera and the Executive Director from Enlace during their Summer Nights programming, which is through DCR. And we offered the introductory handball court here because this is a great spot to introduce youth and even adults to one ball handball or wall ball. We just come by every now and then and visit. We just noticed some changes in the park, like all those logs up on the perimeter of the park, so that it prevents people from driving onto the park, which happens frequently for many years.
Yeah, and that's something that they've had an issue with in the past. People driving, and it's better that they did something. Although we don't like those logs and stuff like that. It looks, it's kind of like an eyesore, but it does eliminate an immediate like a problem that they've been dealing with immediately. Because unfortunately, when people go to play basketball, they were driving all over the grass, or other people that are coming through, but they also would drive right over the handball court. So it helps us in case we do get a little bit of paint and stuff, and make this look, or make it usable, because this is, first of all, this court is to a certain extent not usable in a proper way, because it's only 11 feet by 16 or something, the short lawn. So it's very introductory, something that you can probably have in your backyard and screw around. But if you have nothing else, or this is what you have, you can actually introduce the sport to new players, and you can play on it. I mean, you could play on it. It's just small, and effective play is hard, because even on big courts that are 16 by 20, you still hit it over the wall, you still go through that. So the smaller the space, the smaller the target, the harder it is to hit the target. And then the less space that you have, the less space of running. Although you do have space beyond the grass to return a shot, you're still returning it to a very small target. But as far as practicing, or if you live nearby, or you just want to come to a place that has a nearby nice playground, because overall this is truly a gem. This is Springdale Park, and it's kind of a neutral neighborhood, with the exception of one or two oddities that you may notice in the park that we noticed today. But besides that, there's the Connecticut River runs right through the back, so you come with a fishing pole or play basketball. I used to play basketball here a lot back in the older court that was before this one. And obviously I played handball here, but it was kind of limited when we played handball here, because it was just too small. So it would be like when you and I would come, or besides that, when I played with the other people. This is years ago when it was first kind of made. Played a few times. We considered, like I said in one of the other videos, the singles court.
When was this court built?
I think approximately like 83, 84. I think that's what I said in one of the other videos.
At the same time as Saucy Park?
Yeah, probably around the same time, because I think Saucy was 84. And when I moved here in 83.
Let's go to the shade.
But like I said, this court, although we try to do that little tournament, for fun, you can hit it around. But I noticed, especially for everybody, if you start playing a really hard game, you're gonna be hitting over the wall. It's really small. You know what I mean? But it's been here. It's been here over 30 years. Probably getting closer to, no, it's 40 years now. This court's been here for 40 years.
40 years.
40 years. 40 years is a long time. So I think at 40 years, it may be time to consider, like what they do. They do have a master plan for this court. So we're trying to see what we could come up with that will work for this court. You know what I'm saying? Because this layout, this issue, they have the potential for the thing that they had in that master plan from a few years ago, with the pickleball, the handball. They were going to do the spray park, and they didn't have the money for it. They got to start with that. At least get some, the sprays going and fix that. It's supposed to be new. They got part of the playground. So, but it's a huge park. They do good baseball stuff on the other side. They did have the Latino festival that they were doing down here. That was nice. We wanted to do a tournament at the same time every time. For something like that, I would have had this spruced up and done it yearly, even if the court's tiny. But I would have done it for the same exact reason of having fun and using the space while there's a festival going on. You know what I mean? Maybe doubles would have been somewhat of an issue.
But that has changed.
Yeah,
That
so
was the
changed.
Hispanic Family Festival that Diosdado Lopez, former city councilor Diosdado Lopez, did for many years at Springdale.
Yeah, and I would have kept it going on had that continued, because it just would have been a way to kind of expose the sport eventually, getting more people to kind of see what it is.
So one of the things that we really would like from the city of Holyoke and from the Ward 2 Councilor Carmen Ocasio is to fight for funding for Springdale Park.
Springdale, because I think being where it is, the neutrality of it, the size of it, it has so much potential to be, to impact Holyoke so much. You know what I mean? Because there's actually you have passive and active recreation that will really work here. So if you want to take a nice walk around, it's a nice park, good size. Like I said, you have the Connecticut River right there. You have that kind of hill that kind of creates a kind of a dam, so to speak, to keep the water level over there in case there's flooding. But this park has handball, it has volleyball, it has basketball, it has baseball, it has fields like for soccer, it has a playground, it's supposed to have a spray park. So all of those things are things that to find in one location is a little bit hard. It has parking, although this parking is somewhat limited, but it still has it. And then it has another parking lot over there. So there is a lot of potential here. Like I said, in the Connecticut River is right there. This park has so much potential that impacts the city overall. And it's down in the lower wards, or the lower part of downtown, so to speak. You know what I mean? It's not up on Northampton.
And you have two handball spots here. You have here at the miniature court at Springdale Park, and then we just went to Jackson Park. It has another location that needs a master plan, that needs funding, that needs, sunshade, pavilion.
Well, one of the biggest things with that park is that it used to be a family park. At one point it had a pool, it had basketball, handball, and playground. Those are the things. You had the key elements. You had water to stay cool. You have basketball, which is the most popular sport pretty much in most of the parks, for especially in urban settings. But overall, basketball is just the most popular sport here. You know what I mean? Because it's easier to get into if people are exposed to it from a very young age. And so you always kind of need a basketball court. And then it had handball, although the handball court was somewhat limited, but it had it. So it had all those things. And then it just got down to just being a handball court. It was pretty much unusable, and the two basketball courts, which are usable, although the slope, the incline to me is kind of significant, but they just get cooked. If anybody wanted to go and play like pick up basketball at that court on a hot day, today's not even that bad, and you still get cooked. After about a half an hour playing, an hour, you're pretty much done. And you don't want people to just use the space for that short of time. You want people to be there for hours, because it keeps the negativity down and it keeps the positivity up. So that's what we're trying to do in the parks. At this time of the day, we understand people are either working or they're doing something else. But at the prime time, there should be people in the parks. Not now. This is a different time. Although I think people should still be in the parks. There's been a lot of people.
Or programming in the parks, offered by different people.
But like I said, for this space here, meanwhile, what do we do? What do we do is they should power wash that wall, put a fresh coat of paint on it again. Obviously the graffiti, those jerks that do the vandalizing, because this is separate. I always make this clear. The people that do graffiti and they're artists and all that, I respect that. But people that randomly write on everything and just make the places look, bad and stuff like that, and they just don't really care, and those people I frown upon. I don't care how good you can draw and write. If you just don't care about art spaces, then you shouldn't be doing it. You should be held accountable. But besides that, the wall itself should be made better. The flooring, which is such a small area, we should get some resurfacer paint on it and put a couple of coats of paint on it. I'm willing to do that if they provide this stuff. I'll do it again and fill in the front with a couple bags of concrete. So now you have a space that is usable. You know what I mean? This is the problem with places, and I always have this issue, whether it's the YMCA of Holyoke or park space. If you make it and leave it in such rough shape, it's not going to attract people to use it. People that used to use it may stop using it, or people that want to come and use it for the first time may look at it as like, this is kind of shitty, I'm not going to use this. So that's the type of things that happen all the time. Now, there are people that make things bad for other people. You have a brand new space and somebody just comes and tags it all up, or they throw bottles or something. So that's something that kind of goes with even used spaces. We've dealt with that in numerous places, and I'm sure people that work with parks or any other spaces know that even if something's brand new, you get someone either burning a playground or you know, whatever it is that they do. But if you are responsible for maintaining that space, then you're the one that should be held accountable. And I don't want to sound like that, but it's the truth. The space, I understand that there is a time that you have a bunch of parks and all that, but we've been involved with this for such a long time that we know if it's the parks doing their job or not. You know what I mean? And that's the problem. It should be maintained. And obviously for the naked, you know, the person that doesn't know anything, this looks like passable because there's not glass all over.
It's not passable, people.
And it is better than what is before. I know on the back they had trash and they had some stuff here. And this is not a bash. That's not what I'm trying to do. I'm just bringing awareness to the spaces of what should kind of happen and how we want to get our hands dirty with it. We have been doing for years. So we're willing to do that. And this is not, like I said, this is not a bash against anybody here. That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying in general, in any space, whether it's handball, whether it's a tennis court, whether it's a basketball court, we have to work together to try to keep them usable. And when they're not usable, then you have to look at who is in charge of that space. And if it's a space that seems abandoned, either you're going to repurpose it, remove it, or just keep the space up. You know what I mean? Because if people don't use it, it has to be.
Can I ask you a question?
Yeah.
Why do you think handball is dead?
Handball is not dead. I think that handball is alive and it's more spread out. It's more international. It's more spread out.
But let me rephrase the question. Why hasn't it slowed down? It slowed down in Holyoke.
In Holyoke, I think there's more than one reason. The main places to play in Holyoke, like the flats, was removed back in the early 2000s. And I noticed that there is water there, so I want to see what the heck that is. And that's awesome that that's there. So that's
okay. So there's water coming out of the splash pad.
Yeah, so that splash pad, and that's a good thing. So, and that splash pad seems to have been shifted over. So that's a plus right there. So that's one good thing. In Holyoke, it's more than one thing. A lot of people moved. A lot of the old school players either aged out or they moved. Like myself, we moved, but we keep coming back. But I have a lot of other friends that either live in Chicopee or Springfield, but they were really Holyokans or whatever you want to call them. And then besides that, there's people that moved to Florida. There's people that died. There's people that just moved on. Or the people that aged out way too early. I mean, you shouldn't be aging out at 30 to not be able to play anymore. You know what I mean? You know, people just, you know, I mean, I know work and those things, you know, the handball doesn't pay the bills. I get that. But it never did pay the bills, you know what I mean, for the most part. It's about just positive recreation, because if you're in a softball field for 4 or 5 hours, that's not paying the bills either. You're doing it for positive recreation. And we support softball. Softball's awesome. But yeah, I can tell you, you're not going to get the same kind of exercise. And I'm saying I'm more of a handball promoter and stuff, and that's the role that I'm taking. So you can't really go by my fitness, you know what I'm saying? Because I'm not playing handball as regularly. Although you see me in the videos, I'm truly not playing. I'm more taking a role of trying to keep the sport alive and stuff like that. If I start competing and playing, then obviously the more time I spend on the court, you know, you have physical changes. You know, you spend more time. You know, but besides that, for the average Joe that's actually not doing what we do and I do, they're gonna probably get the more physical benefits if they're playing 3 or 4 times a week. You know what I'm saying? And you know, that's why we want to see if we can get this painted and fixed up. If there are activities here, we'll try to partner up. And even if it's not handball, if you could do some kind of, when I say wall ball, I mean the actual wall ball with the playground ball that they throw on the floor first, and they use it just to get them familiar with using a wall and a ball. And after that, you can introduce, like the way we were doing in Southbridge and all that, actual handball. Because if these kids are hitting it over Southbridge wall, here they're gonna hit every other shot over. You know what I mean? So this becomes almost like a net. 11 feet, it's hard for them to keep it. So you would have to use a very slow ball, which we probably would have to find and like an introductory ball that can keep the ball in place, or when they hit it, that it doesn't ricochet and end up all the way.
But in the meantime, you know, it would be nice if the Holyoke City Council and Mayor Garcia find the funding for Springdale Park.
They got to do it. I mean, this is really gonna change this whole, it's gonna change the city. And I know they're doing other stuff that's gonna change the city. I think that volleyball thing that they're playing, I think that's fantastic. I think that's a good thing.
The sports complex.
Yeah, I think that's fantastic. And I think that I understand the need of where you're gonna put it and all of that stuff. But this is the lower wards where a lot of stuff happens. And I don't mean always good stuff. So you want to make sure that the people that don't have access to those type of things continue to have access to affordable recreation, even if it's just a walk through the park. But it's, at the same time, more than that. You want me to play some basketball, some handball, some volleyball, tennis, or whatever it is, pickleball. You just want to be able to do those things, you know what I mean? Or just go to a playground and take a little walk. Or, maybe you used to play handball, but there's nobody playing ever, you know what I mean? And people, why is nobody playing? I mean, nobody's going to use something like this, you know what I mean? They may just hit it for like 10 minutes and they just stop. Once you chase the ball, it's the only ball you have. Every other shot, you're like, you get tired of it. You know what I mean? You're playing more fetch.
At Jackson, it's kind of hard because you got the sloping grass on
you can use
one
it, but you
side.
don't have running space on the side. So it's only good to practice or introduce to sport. Jackson's always been a problem. It's been improved because they put the higher fencing. They closed the gate a little bit, and you were able to get some paintings for the floor to make it look a little better. But overall, that court was designed to fail from the beginning because it didn't have the running space and it had that slope, that an exaggerated slope. So that ball used to go in the street. So the players that were using it at first just decided to go to Springfield. We all went to Kennefit. And we tried the high school, but the high school, you're fetching a lot.
You're talking about the Robert Sports Complex?
Yeah, when we go there, although the atmosphere, like the court's a little bit more even, it's more on both sides. The floor's in great condition. The wall's a little bit funny. It's not just that it's wood, but you could play on wood. There's a lot of places, when they did the Vegas thing, people are playing on wood. There's other outdoor courts that have been wood in some locations throughout the country. You could get away with wood, but if you're just going for fun play and there's only 2 of you and you only bring 2 or 3 balls, or you're going to be chasing the ball. It goes over the wall. You got to go all the way around. There's too many interruptions of the game, so you got to really bring like 30 balls. And you could do that, but the average Joe, are they going to really do that? They're just going to eventually try to do something different, something else that doesn't have that same.
And you could play paddle ball on these courts.
Yeah, you could practice, but even paddle, after a while, you're going to be chasing the ball.
Yeah, but paddle ball at Robert Sports Complex. All right.
We're as human as they come. So
yes.
While you're doing the video, the bugs still want to go in your nose.
Of all places.
Yeah, all the nose. I mean,
all right, people, we're going to let you go. We have to head out. But we always like to stop by the Holyoke park spaces because we love parks. We like collaborating with the city.
I think it's killing me. I think that bug is making its way to my brain.
Okay. All right. Bye.